Minisode 216. Almost dropped my lighter. Welcome to Minisode 216. 216. Hey, what's going on? How's it going? What do you got for me? What do you got? Tell me what's going on in your weird worlds.
I got a great one today, and it's great because it's a crossover between mine and Jesse's, one of our biggest interests, Gordon Ramsay.
Okay, go on. I'm in.
So first things first, there was a TikTok that I saw on High Strangeness that is this guy, like creepers on the internet sometimes, or internet sleuths, let's call them, will triangulate someone's location based on like topography that's visible in photographs of where they are, right? That kind of thing, kind of stalkery. So I'm going to send you this post right here, which is a TikTok of somebody proving using topography that Gordon Ramsay was at Area 51 in a jet. So that's the first thing that I need you to check out. So that's like basically what he did was he was like, oh, I'm in Nevada or something like that. And then he was like, there's only 3 airports in Nevada.
Time out. Whoa, what? Time out.
What?
Time out. I don't want to roast the deliverer of the news.
Yeah.
But this young gentleman, potentially young, could be 80 years old for all I know, has the craziest filter I've ever seen.
Yeah.
Has the craziest what?
Filter.
Oh.
Look at the video. This dude's filter, his hairline, plus the filter, plus everything else. Like,
he looks like a hybrid.
He's like a vampire. I don't know how old this man is.
He's an alien hybrid.
He looks like he speaks.
He definitely has something going on. But anyway, yeah, okay.
So he matches it up. He's like, the thing is, he's like, okay, he's in Nevada, but that would mean he would have to be at these 3 airports, but none of the airports have the topography that's visible from the window. The only one that does, and it's a perfect match, is Area 51. So bang, that's his first like conclusion definitively. And I'm like, that's crazy. Is there anything to back this up? So I go diving a little bit and I find a video from this flight attendant girl who's on Instagram, and she posts this thing where she's like, I was on a plane with Gordon Ramsay. It was like a weird flight. It was almost like a ferry flight because he was the only person on it. And we landed in the desert somewhere, and some guys in black came on the plane and escorted Ramsay off the plane. And I went to his seat, and there was a little pan there, and she has the pan in the clip. And if you look at the TikTok, you can see that in Ramsay's post, there is a little pan that is there. So conceivably, this could all be real. But also, in the comments of the post, there's somebody who points out that maybe the pan is not the same pan from the image. If you look closely, like maybe they don't match each other, but I'm not sure about that. I think it's kind of, it's kind of up to you to decide. I can't really tell whether it's the same pan or not. I think he says that there's a hole or something that needs to be there, but I think maybe that could just be a reflection. I'm not sure. But there you go. Was Gordon Ramsay there? A bunch of the people in the comments are like speculating maybe he just like is there to cook for somebody or something like that, because it is just a military base in the end, right? And if they can have Gordon Ramsay there and he doesn't end up seeing any alien technology, maybe it's still nice to have him come cook a beef Wellington for your guys.
Also, on the more like normal side, the last couple seasons of Hell's Kitchen have been in Vegas.
Yeah.
And Vegas is very close to Area 51, and maybe he just had to stop there.
Oh, yeah.
Because he couldn't land
at Area 51. And that's when disclosure is going to happen on Hell's Kitchen.
On Hell's Kitchen, when they cook poorly, he kicks all of them out of the kitchen and brings in the aliens.
Yep.
Wow. Aliens are real. Wow.
Is yours alien related, Jesse?
It is not even remotely.
All right, no. I'll do mine then because it's still alien related slightly. So our government's falling apart. And in that...
is it? I don't mean
is it? Yeah, maybe not. In that, though, a lot of people are either getting fired, threatening to be fired, and some information is starting to kind of came out of the cracks in the UFO world because of it. This is from Politico as of the 3rd, so literally 2 days ago from us recording this. Some FBI agents who work in the group also worked on January 6th cases. This particular group, a secret UFO investigation branch within the FBI. There are worries that the move could lead a Trump-ordered purge at the agency, said the people, some of whom were granted anonymity to discuss personnel matters. Quote, I have spoken to several agents from the UAP working group who are afraid of losing their role in the investigation getting unintentionally compromised, said Ryan Graves, executive director of Americans for Safe Aerospace and the former Navy pilot. Quote, I am concerned that the FBI's UAP working group could be affected by transition changes, and these leaders might not be aware of the incredible work these agents are doing and how their investigation could be empowered as part of a formalized intergovernmental effort. The existence of the FBI's informal working group on the issue has not been disclosed publicly before. Graves and 3 other people familiar with the group said it consists of a national program manager and more than a dozen employees across the country who spend much of their time tracking down UAPs. Graves said that for more than a year, his group has worked with the FBI team to refer interested witnesses, leads, open source intelligence, and so on to help the Bureau's efforts to protect the country and the aviation industry from unidentified phenomenon. He said the agents have interviewed interested witnesses and, quote, plus up these reports with classified information. Quote, the FBI working group is uniquely positioned to investigate UAP due to their joint law enforcement and intelligence authorities, he said, adding he was deeply worried that agents key to the investigation of UAP could be removed, which would undermine the Trump administration's commitment to take the U out of UAP. There's your first mistake, thinking he had a commitment to anything. While we have no comment on any questions regarding FBI personnel matters, the FBI investigates unidentified anomalous phenomenon when there is potential for a violation of federal law, particularly unlawful acts that could adversely affect our national interests, and to gather, share, and analyze intelligence to combat security threats facing the U.S., the FBI said in a statement. So that was from an FBI statement after this was all kind of came out. Yeah, and they go on to talk about how the Pentagon had a similar effort called the ATIP, which we've talked about before, which was leaked in 2017. So, you know, another quiet, secret UAP investigation group.
Maybe
in another
closing, maybe
intelligence branch that only is coming out because cracks are forming.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting. That's Mulder's branch.
That would be, right? Yeah, that'd be his.
That's the X-Files.
All right, cleanse us of aliens, Jesse.
I shall do just that. So, interesting little tidbit out of Italy. Absolutely think this
Tiddly bit.
No.
Yes. So there is a pretty, we'll say, Italian famous. This is definitely something I don't expect a lot of Americans, for example, to know about. But for decades, historians, researchers, just people in the archaeological fields have been really interested in this place called Sforza Castle, mostly because it is notorious for having a bunch of hidden things in it, tunnels and structures and all sorts of stuff. But they've not found any real evidence of it. Like in the writings of the time, in that kind, there's like a lot of mystery going on with it.
Oh, I think I heard about this, right?
Yeah, and so the thing that cracked the code for them was the Renaissance man himself, Leonardo da Vinci.
Da Vinci?
Da Vinci? A 500-year-old sketch by Leonardo da Vinci has led to a remarkable discovery of hidden tunnels beneath Sforza Castle in Milan, Italy.
Literally Da Vinci Code stuff.
The revelation confirms that Da Vinci actually did not just draw up like theoretical concepts, but actually was the blueprint for much of what happened at the castle. And the reason why is because it was a strategic military fortress under the rule of Ludovico Sforza, one of Leonardo's most influential patrons. And because of that, I assume because he was throwing money at Leonardo was like, here's some really cool designs for your fortified military base. And until, recently, when they actually used 3D modeling and ground penetrating radar and stuff, were they even able to discover that it wasn't just mystery and riddles and nonsense and Leonardo's just drawings, but really the Sforza himself straight up just took those ideas and implemented them into the castle. And so advanced scans reveal that there's underground passageways, escape routes, supply tunnels, all sorts of different things to, if the castle came under siege, it's how you would escape. It's how you would bring stuff in. It's how you'd last. And the fact that they were never discovered and they clearly lead to an outside point just shows how good of a design it was. And
that's how I feel when I come out of a dungeon in Skyrim sometimes. I'm like, how the fuck did I not see this? Yeah, how did I not see this fucking door?
Yep. And that's another really cool thing. And so that's just a very fun way of seeing history and archaeology and science come together. Discover
You gotta
something we
feel
didn't
like
know before.
fucking Indiana Jones when you find some
Yeah,
shit like
pretty
that.
cool.
Yeah, I can't imagine. I used to feel like I wanted to be an archaeologist when I was a kid, just because of that moment of just being like, whoa, finding something nobody's seen in 1,000 years.
Go play the new Indiana Jones
I
game.
did. I beat it. It was phenomenal. I loved
The
every
whole
second.
scene we're in the Vatican and you like do like the thing
It
open.
is,
Like it's
it
just
is so
perfect Indiana
fucking
Jones.
cool.
Yeah,
It is so cool.
Just do Indiana Jones games, no more movies. I'm fine with that.
yeah, I would be all right. I'd be A-okay.
Give me Dial of Destiny do. Dial of
Give
Destiny
me
do.
Fate of Atlantis, but modern day.
Yeah.
Oh, that'd be fucking sick.
Yeah.
All right, we're out of here. That's your mini-sode, everybody. We appreciate you. We'll see you next week. We love you. Goodbye.
Goodbye.
Bye.
Welcome to mini-sode 217.
Really? We're already there, huh?
Yeah, dude, we're there. We've been there. And you know what's funny? Next week is our 7-year anniversary.
7 years?
Yep. We'll be recording
7 years.
the day after our 7-year anniversary. February 18th is
I started this podcast. I was still in my 20s. My 20s.
I was not.
You're so old now.
Yeah.
Oh my god, the
Don't
two
you
of
feel
you.
more enlightened now though?
Yeah, don't you feel like you're slowly crumbling to dust?
I feel like my age matters less and less the older I get. That's what I feel. That's
Tell us
the
what-
that's the honest truth.
I need you to start us out, Jesse. No,
You need me to start
Alex,
you out.
The third eye one. Alex.
Oh,
you
you want to know about Grant Morrison?
Yeah.
Okay, so I've talked about this before on the show, but a little bit. But I want to get into it a little bit more. So, just like I mentioned, Grant Morrison has been writing comics since the 80s, very famous comic book writer. They wrote a very famous comic book called Arkham Asylum. That's about Batman. That's like
Great.
kind of psychedelic and kind of upsetting, but very modern. The artist is, I think his name is Dave McKean. He's the guy who does like the covers of all the Sandman comics. So it's like a very trippy artist to be doing the interior of a comic, if you can imagine, if you've ever seen the cover of a Sandman comic. But this story, Arkham Asylum, it was like at the right time, that same Sandman time, hit like gangbusters. Dude made like millions of dollars, and he was in his 30s, right? So Grant Morrison's in their 30s, and they're like, all right, when I was young, I was poor. It's time to party. Went around the world, went to India, went to Bali, went to Nepal, New Zealand, Thailand, shaved their head, vinyl and leather kind of outfit vibes, like very like almost like a comic book character in real life. They were sober their entire life, starts dropping acid, shrooms, ecstasy, hash, which brings us to Kathmandu, where we were in the story that I teased. So basically what happened was he had a fifth dimensional experience in a hotel room, which resulted in him seeing the universe from the outside and meeting silvery blob-like entities who explained the connectedness of all life on Earth. But they say it felt like it was a higher intelligence, and there's no proof it wasn't. I remember space and time just being a flat surface. I was only on a little lentil-sized piece of hash, and that won't give you that experience. God knows I've tried. Also, this was before True Detective.
God knows I've tried.
Yeah, this was before True Detective, by the way.
I've never seen True
I was
Detective.
utterly sure for a long time after that, when I died, I would wake up there, like looking up from a video game, realizing you're in your room. But now I don't feel like that anymore, is what Grant Morrison said. But I wanted to also tell another story about Grant Morrison really quick, because in this article, there's something about them trying to manifest creatures. Like there's themes in their work constantly of like crossing the lines of fiction. If you've ever read The Invisibles, which is like one of the best Grant Morrison things ever, King Mob is this character in there that like they like started to believe they were this character, and the character in the comic hallucinates a bacterial infection, and then they had like a huge bacterial infection on their face that like still has a scar that they like almost died from. And so they like started writing the King Mob character to have like success and hot ladies and stuff. so that that would happen to them also.
I see. Yeah. I see what you're doing.
But
That's a little chaos magic-y, dude. That is a little chaos magic-y.
Yeah. So I'm a big fan of Grant Morrison, and I subscribe to their Substack, which is called Xanadu. Think what you will about Substack. There's some really good creators on there. I don't think Substack's the greatest company in the world, but I do recommend Grant Morrison's Substack. And on there's just a lot of good stuff to read. There's a story. I'm just going to read it like it's a listener story. And then you can think of it as something you can check out if you want, and I can just promise you that it's real. And I'll try and link you guys to it. I don't know if you guys can read it or not, but it might be free. I can't really tell. So here we go. On October 9th, 1993, which would have been John Lennon's 53rd birthday, had the arch Beatle not been shot dead by Mark Chapman in 1980, I performed a ritual intended to incarnate Lennon as a god. And you can think of me talking with a Glaswegian accent. I'm not going to do it, but Grant Morrison is from Glasgow, so you can just picture that. I wanted to make a dedication at the beginning of what was a whole new life for me in many ways. I wanted to summon a spirit of pure psychedelic inspiration into a Lennon-shaped environment. I sought not to manifest the real man, the troubled, cruel, and violent Lennon with his flaws and contradictions, but instead evoke Lennon, the twisted mystic, the pop star intellectual, the elemental air, and the four Beatles as stripped back to their cartoon archetypes. To get in the mood, I wore a paisley shirt, skinny jeans, and Chelsea boots.
Hell yes.
I sat at the center of a circle made of Beatles albums and had Tomorrow Never Knows playing on loop. My new 12-string.
Crazy ass fucking it's like some ritual ass magic.
Yeah.
The Beatles.
My new 12-string white Rickenbacker stood in for a wand. As sacrament, I took a microdose of LSD, not enough for a full-blown trip, but sufficient to soften consensus reality. People sometimes misunderstand when I talk about what happened that night. I was not possessed by the spirit of Lennon. This was not a mediumistic example of channeling the alleged dead. This was magic, intention willed into form. I altered the temple environment using sounds, smells, and images as powerful triggers to push out of my consciousness all associations that did not relate to Lennon. This overload of environmental cues was organized or compressed by will into a singular, visible compound idea of Lennonness, so that everywhere I looked reminded me of John Lennon. Everything I heard was Lennon, until all other qualities the space around me may have once possessed were edited out and replaced by the Lennon sphere. Using a traditional three-part...
That's where spheres come from in DCL's worlds.
Dude, you joke, but that's exactly where they come from. Using a traditional three-part... Actually, Grant Morrison invented hypertime. Using a traditional three-part summoning where the magician first speaks to the chosen god, angel, or specified other in the third person at a worshipful remove. He is the walrus, the Eggman, the moondog. The call is repeated, this time in second person and with more fervor as to a lover. You are the walrus, the Eggman, etc. And finally, with all the passion, intent, and language available, the magician pronounces, I am the walrus, I am the Eggman, and assumes full responsibility for whatever happens next. This total possession of the ritual space by a coherent manifestation, what I was looking for, was what I was looking for, and it expressed itself visually and audibly as a 4-foot-tall head that fit inside my temple space, but felt much bigger, made of thousands of intricate, multicolored, and chiming shards of what resembled musical notation as rotated through a higher direction. Intense flashing, colors, digital high fidelity, shimmering musical glissades and drones. I bathed in electric fluorescent creative kaleidoscope, searing yellows and electric pinks, UV blues, receiving a download of powerful, effervescent excitement and creativity. It felt most like the imagined Lennon of Revolver and Sgt. Pepper, a psychedelic god on acid. The ritual formed the basis for the above scene in the first issue of The Invisibles, which is pictured here on the page, and is like literally a scene of John Lennon visiting as a giant head, where most of the accompanying captions, Buddha Gong, Universal Harmonics, Monastery, Acoustic Hiss and Drone, Looking Glass Language, Reverb Red in the Red Room of the Head, and so on, come directly from my magical diary record and were my immediate attempts to describe the texture of my experience. A great many mysteries and marvels came out of that night, including seeds of what became The Invisibles itself and the beginning of an inexorable escalation of unleashed intent, which climaxed 8 months later in Kathmandu, Nepal. And then, as a more minor side effect of the ritual, I found myself with this song I'd strummed into life, composed almost automatically, complete with lyrics and music. It always sounded to me at best like a throwaway B-side from 1965 as imagined by the Ruddles, but that's why I've always liked it. It's a very authentic scribble of the moment. It is emphatically not a communication from beyond the grave. There's an acoustic version of it performed by Grant Morrison at Meltdown Comics, which was in LA. But there's on the Substack page an acoustic version from 1993 that kind of sounds like Hey Bulldog. But I don't know if you guys can hear it. It doesn't look like I'm signed in on the page. So if you guys want to try and go to their Substack and check it out, it's there.
There it is. Oh, yep, I can hear it.
Yeah. It's another not quite Beatles song for you guys. A little throwback to one of the first Alex episodes, I guess, if you want to call it that.
It does have a vibe.
Yeah.
It has a Lennon-y flavor.
Yeah, I'm expecting Yoko to show up.
Right out of the Lennon sphere.
Yeah. So so there you go. Grant Morrison, interesting chap. If you want to read a really great book that's like a look at that, you know, like a look at Grant Morrison's like philosophy and stuff, there's a great book called Super Gods that they wrote that is like nonfiction that is about comic books and writing, but is also about like magic and psychology and philosophy.
It's why, so like it's fun because like the Grant Morrison stuff, that is straight up like Chaos Magic.
Big time.
And I feel like after the 7 years we've been doing this, we've laid a foundation for the Chilluminati verse, because we're going to see from here on a lot of just like names from other series that we've done. There's a lot of cross-pollination from everything from true crime down to the mystical stuff. There's like so many recurring characters.
I told you, the Chilluminati becomes real this year.
Yeah, I'm excited. Jesse, I feel like you and I might have the same article, so why don't you go first? Because
I most certainly don't have the same as you.
Okay, go.
I'd be willing to, unless yours features rock legend Sammy Hagar.
Does not, in fact, include rock legend Sammy Hagar.
There you go. So
that's tight.
That is
from
tight.
the world of Music Radar. Turns out that Sammy Hagar, before he became famous, had a little run-in potentially with aliens.
Oh,
let's fucking
and
go.
they set him on this path. Let me explain. And this
Funny
is
how this happens, huh?
Let me stress. When asked about this back in 2013, he said it is super for real. It definitely happened at his home at night in California.
Dude, Guillermo del Toro has a fucking UFO encounter too. Did you know that?
Guillermo del Toro has a lot of crazy stories.
No, I did not know that.
Him and in a show where him and Steven Spielberg were just at a sit-down table and they were just talking about each other and like talking to each other, comparing their lives. He talks about he's out in college. He's on a back road with his friend with a 6-pack. They were about to go sit in like the desert and drink. And as they were getting out there, they saw a light in the distance. And he was like, yo, pull over. What the hell is that? And as they pulled over, the light dropped down, came right at him as he stepped out of the car. And he says, I've never been more terrified. I felt like an ant. He said they got in their car and he's like, drive. And they like sped away and it followed him for a bit. And then at one point they looked back and it was gone.
Yay.
Interesting.
Yeah, good shit. Continue. Sorry.
Yeah. He says, I was living in my house in the foothills of the San Bernardino Mountains. I was just lying in bed when I felt something weird going on, like someone was tapping into my brain. At the time, I didn't know how to explain it, but they were downloading or uploading. I don't know. That's the simplest way to put it.
Dude, that term, I just want to let you know, that term is pervasive. Like, people talk about this kind of thing, I won't say all the time, but the people who experience this thing, that's a term they always say. They just suddenly know things that they didn't know before.
The best part is he said, you could see them. 2 guys on this little hillside. They were playing with the numerical code, but it wasn't from our numerical system. And then suddenly this telepathic connection broke, and I could actually see them go back to their ship in a beam of light, zap, like lightning. For a second, there was this infinity of white. I couldn't move, and then it was over. Scared me nearly to death. It was an experience I couldn't understand. But he says he put it to good use. He's like, my ego was telling me these aliens programmed you to be a rock star.
That's awesome, though. Fucking awesome. How old was he when that happened? Did he say?
This was during the 60s. So okay. I imagine he was a teen at the time.
Yeah.
So I used it to as a tool to write songs about outer space in the future. Songs like Crack in the World and Silver Lights, which is about second coming of Jesus Christ who comes back in a spaceship. the article says, like Silverlights is from his first solo album and Crack the World's from his third solo album. But Hagar explored themes in his first band, Montrose. And I guess that was 1973 with a self-titled track. The album was self-titled Montrose, but track on it was called Space Station 5. And on his first album with Van Halen, 5150, the hit ballad Love Walks In had Hagar singing about contact with an alien. As he told Classic Rock, the night in the 60s had a complete profound effect on him. He says, before it happened, I didn't know about planes or psychic phenomena. I wasn't interested in any of that. But from that point on, I became extremely interested in outer space, reading books, Einstein. I went on a quest. I'm still on it. So I think that was pretty fun.
Like Robert Monroe, similar thing. Like the one thing that just shatters you what you think is real, and it just changes.
I've never thought of Van Halen and Sammy Hagar as like alien folk.
Yeah, that's great.
But
though.
that's
not
hilarious. Yeah.
They're soft disclosure is what they are.
I love that.
That's awesome. Well, I'm taking us out of here with science today. This is why I thought this was going to be the article. Ladies and gentlemen, the scientists have achieved.
Said that just a little bit weird.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Scientists have achieved quantum teleportation, but not the way you think it is. But it's still very interesting, like very impressive. Basically, while scientists are not teleporting physical things, they are able to teleport information almost instantaneously. Basically, it demonstrates that they could be close to building an actually useful quantum computer rather than just theorizing about it at this point.
Interesting.
Yeah, so what they're doing, for perspective, last year, Google said its quantum chip Willow had managed to do calculations in minutes, which would take the world's best conventional supercomputer 10 septillion years to complete. Given this is vastly longer than the universe has even existed, it's like impossible. The new research was published in Nature, which told how it's thought to be the first time logical gates were, quote unquote, teleported, even though data has previously been teleported without moving qubits, which are quantum bits. Logical gates are operations which manipulate qubits to tell them which state they should be in. The study led by Dougal Main said, quote, previous demonstrations of quantum teleportation have focused on transferring quantum states between physically separated systems. In our study, we use quantum teleportation to create interactions between these distant systems. Professor David Lucas, principal investigator of the team, said, quote, our experiment demonstrates that network distributed quantum information processing is feasible with current technology. Scaling up quantum computers remains a formidable technical challenge that will likely require new physics insights as well as intensive engineering effort over the coming years. So they've basically figured a way to instantly move information from one qubit to another. And I think it was they kept them at 2 meters apart in the experiment to do it. Which, if that's true, I'm curious, and I may be thinking of this wrong, but if that's, and I got the science paper on nature.com. I'll link you if you care to read it. It's like long.
Sure.
But basically, if this is something that's possible, does this not imply that quantum communication would be possible? If you can instantly transfer information from one qubit to another while they're entangled, doesn't that mean you could use it to pass information, aka communicate, if we could get to the technology to that point? I'm not saying at this point, but if people
I'll tell you right now, this paper is...
yeah, it's a lot. I don't know.
This paper is pretty much impenetrable to me.
Yep, me too. I have no idea what any of it says, the math or any of that, but it's there. But yeah, because I remember being like, well, because I go back to like thinking about communication with radio waves and how we think like that's the best way to communicate because radio waves travel at light speed and all this stuff.
Right.
But if you can just instantly transfer information via entangled qubits, doesn't that just mean you could literally do communication like that? This proves you could communicate with quantum teleportation of information.
I mean, does it prove it?
I don't know. That's what I'm saying. Asking people smarter than myself. Hopefully.
Yeah. Like scientists weigh in. Does it prove it? I'm not sure. Yeah.
Because it's if it does, or at least it's moving towards that, I mean, that opens up whole new ways of communicating across vast distances without concern of even light speed travel. Right. It would be instant. So I don't know. But yeah, you're right. This paper. QC
There's
equals
a lot of symbols.
0.
It's
God,
deep.
It's so much
It's
shit.
deep.
And this is why, I could never do this shit. It's interesting either way because it's a breakthrough. Like one way or another, this is fucking a huge breakthrough. They said they demonstrated mixed species 2-qubit gates between two math problems I don't understand at a fidelity of 99.81%. Therefore conclude that the technical limitations of our implementation can be overcome. Basically, it's like it worked really fucking well. The other notable source of error is the remote entanglement of the network qubits across the photonic quantum network, and then they lose me. So, you know.
Yeah, I don't even know what
We had a very smart scientist person once explain things to us again. I would love that.
I love that. I love when that
We're
happens.
big fans of being explained to. Yeah.
Yeah, please, God. What do you call it? Influencer explain, please.
So many people have done so many great little like written articles. The videos are always great.
Yep.
And it's always like so polished, so great.
Yeah, unlike us. Thank you guys for listening. Consider this information now instantaneously qubitly transported into your brainium. And we'll be back next week with another mini-sode right here at patreon.com/Chilluminati pod. We appreciate you. We love you. Thank you for your support. Goodbye.
Bye.
Qubits.